Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, just let me know if the sound is working. Now the past few sessions the sound hasn't been syncing, so I don't know if this is something which is because of this or there's something else. Might be the internet, because the internet's been playing up. Okay, anyway, so just let me know if you can hear the sound. If the sound's working. Okay, let's look for the surah. Okay, mashallah. Qasim, alaikum salam. Qasim, you okay? E Sultan, ahlan wa sahlan. Okay, wa alaikum assalam, S Khan. Wa alaikum assalam, Muhammad Khan. Alright, so let's start then. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Okay, so we're starting from verse 17 now. So from verse 17, فسبحان الله حين تمسون وحين تصبحون. So previously, if you remember, we mentioned about Rum. Right, we said Rum was a powerful nation, a powerful community, and the powerful community themselves was something which the Quran rarely mentions, like a nation like Rome is mentioned. Like, in fact, if you look in the entire Quran, Allah only mentions the nations that normally Allah mentions are mentions that have a prophet. Yeah, so we find it a few times, but we rarely find a nation that's mentioned, just like that. And Rome was a nation at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, so the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the other nations we don't tend to find them named in the Quran by name. But so Rome is one that's singled out there. Okay, and then we talked about the changing. So affairs will change, right? So this is the whole sort of, you can say, the gist of how we kind of see things in the dunya. Sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose, and whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a non-Muslim, that's something that you're going to find. And we also mentioned about Allah wanted to turn our attention towards Him. That look, everything is in the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the end of the day, never be fooled into thinking that we are the ones who have full control. Ultimately, it's Allah is in control, and we're going to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the idea of contemplation, thinking, pondering, looking into the universe, and then Allah, He talks about how things come from different things, change takes place, how people, consequences. So you look at the past nations have all of a sudden have faced an abrupt end. Yeah, so this sudden end of nations was also something that was a warning as well, that this can also happen. So Rome can overnight just disappear. And likewise, if you're not careful, then Quraysh, talking to Quraysh, that Quraysh, you can also disappear overnight as well. Right? And maybe it's a warning for us as well, that we need to be careful. All of a sudden Allah can finish off the entire creation just in an instant. And that's how the day of judgment is going to come. It's just going to be illa kalamhim bil basar. It's going to be a blink of the eye. Everything's going to finish. So the final thing that we mentioned was the two groups, those who believe and those who disbelieve. Right? So this is the kind of two groups that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. And all of these people we talked about this kind of the zorb kind of mentality that people have, which is basically that people create their bubbles around themselves, and this bubble, they live in this entire bubble. Their children, their grandchildren, the generations will all live in this kind of made up bubble, and the bubble is going to burst one day. And this is the scary thing, which is that if you're living in a bubble and you're not attempting to try and seek the truth, then you can live in that bubble forever and you can be wrong. So seeking the truth is an important thing. That's why Allah encourages us to travel around the earth, look at all these things. And now we're going to be going on to verse 17 now. فَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ حِينَ تُمْسُونَ وَحِينَ تُصْبِحُونَ. So Allah says, فَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ. So فَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ, it comes for what we call ta'qib. Right, so ta'qib means something that occurs immediately after that. In other words, after Allah has mentioned about what's going to happen to those people who believe and do good, they're going to be in rawdatin yuhbarun. And after Allah mentions about the disbelievers and says that those who disbelieve and they deny the meeting of the hereafter, then they are the ones that will be made present for the adhab. So after all of this, immediately after this, what should a Muslim say? A Muslim should immediately understand one thing and one thing only, which is that Allah is free of all defects. So Allah being free of all defects, meaning Allah is free of weight and height and weakness and sleepiness and hunger and all those things that cause humans to be who they are. Allah is free of all those things. So you imagine a human, what are all the sort of like problems that humans have? So all the weaknesses. So we have illness, we have sleepiness, we have jealousy, we have arguments, we have murder, we have we're limited to being on the ground, we're limited to the speed that we can travel at. All these limitations that humans have, these limitations are the factors which decide what's going to happen with humans. So Rome was the same. So you can imagine Rome had limiting factors. Clearly we know Rome didn't have the ability to be able to fly in the sky, right? They didn't have aviation according to our records. Rome didn't have the ability to have transport that can travel more than 50-60 miles per hour. They didn't have the ability to be able to create internet. They didn't have, so the things that we have today, Rome didn't have that. So that clearly shows Rome were weak, as in they didn't have this. So this shows weakness. And as part of this weakness, what happened was Rome was led to its own destruction. Likewise, us as well. So we have all of these weaknesses in our, so like for example, we used to have 4G, now we're going to get 5G. We don't have 6G or we don't have 7G. So we have weaknesses as well. We have weaknesses. So all these like social weaknesses that we have, put them on one side. And then the human weaknesses that we have, like jealousy and not being able to think beyond a certain level, not having intelligence beyond a certain level. All of these things are things which will pave the way for human destruction. Just think of it like that. And when Allah sends messengers to the earth, Allah uses the basic things that a human requires. Allah has programmed humans with that. The basic things that any human requires to accept Allah's message, to understand Allah's communication. Allah has given us that. So this is why we can understand the message of Islam, which is believe in the oneness of Allah and believe that the Prophet ﷺ is the final messenger, and believe in the hereafter, and believe in the divine books and the angel, etc. We can believe in that. So, in other words, a person who has all of these things, their mind will always go towards Subhanallah. And you find this in the Quran frequently mentioned. We call this the tasbih. So whenever we say Subhanallah, it means, oh Allah, you're free of all defects. So in other words, if humans have all these defects inside of them, then Allah can have none of these. So Subhanallah. So Allah is free of any defect. Subhanallah. Allah is pure. Pure is Allah. Hina tumsuna, when you go into the evening. In other words, going into the evening is a weakness. So when we go into the evening, it's a weakness because, there's element of time, there's the element of evening coming, the earth spinning, the night coming, our bodies becoming affected by this. Wahina tusbihuna, and when you are up in the morning. So entering into the night, entering into the morning, this kind of cycle that takes place, this is also indication towards the cycle of humanity. So a social cycle, that there's going to be rise in the society and there's going to be fall. Rise and fall, rise and fall, rise and fall. This rise and fall in human society is something that Allah is maybe indicating towards with the day and night sort of illustration. So just like we have day and night, and this changes, and day is not same as night. Nighttime we sleep, daytime we get up. Allah is free of all these things. So in other words, Subhanallah, Hina tumsuna wa hina tusbihun. And from this, maybe this is where we get the tasbihat of the morning and the evening from. The Prophet ﷺ, encouraging the Sahaba to read the tasbihat in the morning. Yeah, asbahna wa asbah al mulku lillah. Yeah, amsayna wa amsa al mulku lillah. So all these tasbihat that we have, that we read in the morning and the evening, this is all to remind us that we're weak. We need to understand we're weak. Humans must understand we're weak. If humans don't understand that they're weak, humans are going to become like Firaun. Humans are going to become like Abu Lahab. Humans are going to become like all those evil tyrants, evil people in society, criminals. That's why they become like that, because they don't see their weakness. So Subhanallahi hina tumsuna wa hina tusbihun. Again, this cycle Allah is showing us, this is how human society is going to work. Okay, Allah uses basic simple message. So Subhanallah, we must declare Allah is free from defects morning and evening, as we are the ones who wake up in need of His rizq in the morning and enter the night in need of His forgiveness. Very good reflection there, mashallah. Beautifully said, alhamdulillah. وَلَهُ الْحَمْدُ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَعَشِيًّا وَحِينَ تُظْهِرُونَ. Okay, now this is different now. So, Subhanallah hina tumsuna. In other words, so you can imagine human day and night has never stopped. It's always been going on and on and on. Where in one part of the world is day, in another part of the world is night. And where in another part of the world is day. You can imagine a clock. So let's say, for example, like morning starts for some people at 5 o'clock in the morning. That same time, 5 o'clock, somewhere else on the planet, is going to be evening. 6 o'clock, for some people, it's going to be morning. And there's going to be somewhere else, evening. Morning, evening, morning, evening, morning, evening. And some of the scholars have, like, they've taken from this, like, sort of like extrapolated that the earth is cyclic, like spherical. There's a roundness to the earth. Yeah. So they kind of deducted this from there. I mean, it's not necessarily something which categorically understood from it. It's just isharatan, right? So, this idea of, on earth, this is how it's working on earth. The entire earth is in constant motion. People are going into morning, people are going into the evening, right? It's continuous, non-stop. وَلَهُ الْحَمْدُ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. So now we've talked about time. So time has been spoken about, yeah? So normally when you talk about like the perfection of Allah, you talk about two things, don't you? You talk about time, right? And you talk about space. Yeah, space. So time has been discussed. Tumsuna tusbihuna. وَلَهُ الْحَمْدُ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. So for him and him alone. So when you translate this in Arabic, lahu has been brought forward. The khabar has been brought forward. So originally it would have been alhamdu lahu. Yeah, praise is for him. By bringing the lahu forward, what are you indicating towards? You're indicating towards takhsis. For him and him only is the hamd. Hamd means, like I always say this, hamd means stating the absolute true facts about someone. So absolute facts about someone which are permanent inside of them, you call them hamd. And they have to be perfect. So that's why we don't have any hamd for each other. Like, because we're not perfect. Because, if someone says, I'm doing the hamd of this person of their beauty, you can't, because their beauty is going to disappear. I'm doing hamd of this person because of their intelligence. Intelligence is going to disappear. I'm doing hamd, yeah? So hamd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for him and only is hamd. Yeah, in other words, when we declare the perfection of Allah, again, this fits in with the subhan concept. So Allah has all the perfect attributes that we can ever conceive. Like if we collected all of the intelligent people in the world and put them in a room and said to them, okay, what are the most perfect attributes of any being existence? And we see this, for example, like in movies, Marvel, action heroes, they try to come out with the most perfect superhero. What is the most perfect superhero? Is he the one that can fly? Is he the one that can, pick up a hammer? Is he the one that can, break through any wall? Is he the one that can see through everything? Is he the one that can travel faster than the speed of light? What is the perfect? So they're all trying to come out with, they're perfect. Allah is telling us, if you want to measure what perfection is, you measure it with Allah. As in, Allah is the manifestation of perfection. Lahul hamdu, for him and him only is hamd. Hamd in every single thing that you can ever imagine for him. And therefore, when we understand that for Allah, we look at ourselves and we realize we don't have any perfection. So, fis samawat, in the skies. So, as in, it's like saying in the entire universe, skies and earth. Like, it's not that Allah is perfect for humans on earth, and maybe on another planet, or maybe in another solar system, or maybe in another universe. Allah is not perfect over there. Yeah, there's a more perfect. No. Lahul hamdu fis samawat wal ard. Yeah. Okay. Wa ashiyan wa hina tudhirun. And here it says, so like this is kind of like you can say a continuation, as in Subhanallah, Allah is free of all defects in going when humans go into evening and when humans go into the morning cycle. And Allah's perfection is for him and him only in the entire universe, skies, and the entire earth. Wa ashiyan, and at ashiyan time. Ashiyan in the Arabic language actually means after dhuhr. So after the sun rises to the highest point in the sky and starts to come down, after this, all this time, all the way till evening, you call it ashi. Now normally we're used to hearing the word ashi or isha for evening, like after Maghrib, but that's not necessarily the case in Arabic language. It's just like a sort of a popular understanding of it. So ashiyan in Arabic means from after the sun reaches the highest point in the sky, and then when it starts to go down, you say ashiyan. So ashiyan again, it's like there was like an interjection. So the sentence would have been like this: Subhanallahi hina tumsuna wa hina tusbihun wa ashiyan wa hina tudhirun. Yeah. So it's like kind of like what we call jumla mu'tarida. Or it can even be this. It can be continued from hamd. In other words, just like Allah deserves hamd in the skies and the earth, Allah also deserves perfection. Yeah, is the one that holds perfection in the afternoon time as well. Now, why afternoon time? Because see, the one thing that humans thought in the past that was the most perfect thing in existence was the sun. So they used to believe that the sun is the most perfect thing. But because it used to rise and rise and rise, and there was nothing that could reach it. But when the sun starts coming down after dhuhr, it starts to decline. There's nothing else that humans can see that's more perfect than the sun. Yeah? And then when you realize that even the sun's got imperfection, right? And this is why when Ibrahim alayhi salam went to his people, and he said to them that, I worship the stars. When the stars disappear, he goes, no, I don't worship the stars, because how can I worship something that disappears? And then he goes, I worship the moon. Yeah? He said, Hada Rabbi, not I worship. He said, the stars, Hada Rabbi, this is my Lord. And then when the moon disappeared, he turned to the sun. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسَ بَازِغَةً قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. He said, this is my Lord. And then when the sun started to go down, he said, it can't be my Lord. So you see this logical understanding, humans are encouraged to use their... So if you look at Rome became so powerful. How can Rome be God? How can Rome be the Rabb? And this is what happens today. Some people might think, you know what? I think America's the Rabb. I think China's the Rabb. I think, man, like the super intelligent man that they might create in the future, he might be the Rabb. Maybe even, artificial intelligence will become so intelligent. Maybe artificial intelligence will be the Rabb. But in reality, no. Because all of these things have a rise and have a fall. Everything in the universe has a rise like the sun. It rises and it falls. Societies, Rome rose and it fell. Everything will be like that. In fact, even Muslims will have a rise and will fall. So we have to remember this, that Muslims will have a rise and Muslims will fall. And that's fine, because that's how humans are. So, ashiyan, wahina tudhirun. Yeah, wahina tudhirun. So, adhara yudhiru idhar can mean going into dhuhr. So just like tumsuna, going into going into the morning, evening, tusbihuna, going into the morning, tudhiruna, going into the dhuhr time. Wahina tudhirun. So again, Allah using these times because all of us can relate to times, and we know how times work. Okay, so from this we've understood about the perfection of Allah. Yeah. So previously, if you remember, we talked about Rome, and we talked about societies, the rise and fall of societies. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about himself how perfect he is, and now automatically we're going to understand Allah deserves full worship. How powerful is Allah? So in other words, is Allah just like a being that exists and he's so perfect, just like, one of those fake stories, fables, or fictitious stories of a super god, and this super god, he just sits on his throne all day in the temple, and like he's just super, he's just like an ornament for the world, and everyone just like is in awe. No, that's not Allah. Allah is beyond this. يخرج الحي من الميت ويخرج الميت من الحي. Continuing that, look, Allah is not only perfect, Allah is not only free of defects, but Allah is also perfect. Allah is not only free of defects in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, but Allah is also perfect in the skies, in the earth, in every single way possible. Like, there's nothing after this that you can question now about Allah. Like, there's no question remaining in your head. Yeah. So yukhrijul hayy, he is actively in control of the entire universe. And how does Allah show his power? So maybe, for example, like, if you watch some sort of like a superhero movie, in a superhero movie you might see someone, for instance, like there's like a one of those mythological sort of like gods that they have, and he's sitting on a throne, he's got his like stick in his hand or whatever, his rod, and he's like all powerful, no one can touch him, and he can destroy anyone with laser beams from his eyes, but he's not in control of everything that's happening, right? So this is like a fake attribution. So Allah here shows what's Allah's power. He's able to yukhrijul hayya min al-mayt, from a dead body, from a dead cells, from dead entity. Allah can bring out, yukhrij, can take out from, extract from their life. Like, is there any power that has this ability? No one has this. No one has the ability to be able to extract life from the dead. وَيُخْرِجُ الْمَيِّتَ مِنَ الْحَيِّ, and he can extract the dead from the living. So you can understand this in multiple ways. I mean, someone says from a drop of semen, you can take out, a child comes out from that. And then from a living body, something dead can come out from it. And then like from a chicken, an egg come out. And from an egg, a living thing come out. So you can look at it from that way, and you can look at it from like a more sort of like a cellular level. Yeah, how cells work, and what is the concept of life. Like, to what level do you go inside of a creation where you reach up to what is life? Like, is it at the cellular level? Does it go beyond? Is it the atomic level? What is the concept of life? What is living? And mayyit, what is death? Dead. Like, when we say something is dead, is all of our body dead, but our conscious alive? Like, what is the concept of living? This is all, obviously, these are all like kind of discussions and concepts that scholars have had in the books, in Ilm al-Kalam and others, metaphysics. So وَيُحْيِي الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا, and he gives life to the dead. يُحْيِي الْأَرْض, he gives life to the earth after its death, meaning that the earth is also technically considered to be dead. Like, if you look at the earth and you walk over it, right, nothing, like, you can't sense it's alive. When do you sense the earth's alive? When things start coming out of it, plants start growing and things. So in other words, why is Allah telling us about this concept? So it seems as though, if we were to take it back to the Rome, it shows that from a dead society, from Rome, can come out from that living society. From a dead society who are dead, spiritually dead, Allah can bring out from there a living society, a living nation. And from a living society who are living, Allah can bring out from there a dead society. Like, this is in the control of Allah. So Allah is showing us how the system, like the blueprint of the system works. Like, what's exactly happening behind the scenes if you were to strip away all the kind of the aesthetics of the society. So yuhyi al-arda ba'da mawtiha. Now here is the indication, because Allah is bringing everything back to the reality of existence. The reality of our existence is what? Is the Day of Judgment. So here, when Allah says all of this, He says, وَكَذَلِكَ تُخْرَجُونَ, and likewise you guys will be brought out. Meaning, don't think that this life is just like the cycles is going on and on and on and on and on, and that's it. No, you guys are going to be brought out as well. That's how it's going to happen to you. So here, just like if you remember before, was mentioned, ثُمَّ إِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ اللَّهُ يَبْدَأُ الْخَلْقِ ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ. See the cycle that Allah is mentioning here. It's like a significant feature of this surah, a very like a highlighted point in this surah. So if you were to say what is one of the main features of Surah Rum, you clearly say it's to do with the concept of the cycle. Yeah, like this kind of recycling going on. Okay, now we've understood this about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we obviously need to think about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here in this surah is indicating towards important points. So here Allah mentions about min ayati. Now min ayati comes several times in the surah. There's like one over here, verse 20. Yeah, min ayati number 1. Number 2 is verse 21. Wa min ayatin khalaqa lakum. And then number 3 is wa min ayatihi khalqus samawat. And then number 4 is وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ مَنَامُكُمْ بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ. And then number 5 is وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ يُرِيكُمُ الْبَرْقَ خَوْفًا وَطَمْعًا. And number 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَن تَقُومَ السَّمَاءُ وَالْأَرْضِ. So there's 6 over here. And then if you go down later on, if you carry on down, over here, verse 46, number 7 is there. So it's interesting how 6 are mentioned in one place, and then this 7th is actually mentioned many ayats later. So clearly there is a significance for this, even though we might not be able to grasp straight away that what that significance is. But these are things for pondering. Like, why does Allah do this for? Why has Allah over here said Subhanallahi, and then after that says Walahul Hamdu? Why didn't he say Walahul Hamdu hina tumsuna wa hina tusbihun? Yeah. Okay. So let's look at these then. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ. So remember, you guys can put the comments regarding this reflection. So I won't be answering other questions which are not to do with this reflection. So if you put questions related to something it's not to do with reflections, I won't be answering those. Those I'm going to leave for Saturdays. Yeah, Saturday live streams. You can ask those there. So here we are only commenting on things which are related to this surah. Right. So anything that comes to your mind, any sort of reflection that you get, you can put it in, inshallah. And remember, the whole point of this series is so that you guys can start thinking about. Remember, we said we're not doing a tafsir here. Tafsir is not. So the example I give of tafsir is like a person who puts a mirror together, and then the person who holds the mirror and looks at the world through this mirror, this is the reflection that we're doing. So we're not doing tafsir. Tafsir would be where we are looking at what all the possible words mean based on the Arabic language, based on the narrations. Those are in the books of tafsir. What we are looking at is from what the meaning of these ayats are. What reflections can we take from this? What are the lines we can join, the dots we can join, what's the kind of patterns we can find, and things like that. So وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَكُم مِّن تُرَابٍ ثُمَّ إِذَا أَنْتُمْ بَشَرٌ تَنْتَشِرُونَ. Okay, so now remember, we're talking about Rome here. So they're humans, aren't they? We're talking about powerful civilization. We're talking about this idea of human being having weakness inside of them. So what would make sense for us to think about? The origins of man, yeah? So the origins of man is something that we need to think about. If Allah is all powerful, it means Allah cannot have a beginning. Allah cannot have an end. Allah has to be perfect, because that's the whole concept of perfection. So that's why Allah tells us about our beginning. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ. And from His signs, from the sign that Allah exists, أَنْ خَلَقَكُم مِّن تُرَابٍ, that He created you from earth. So He's created us from the earth. What does this mean, He's created us from the earth? So Mufassirin have discussed this, as in, this is talking about Adam alayhi salam. Maybe Allah is talking here about created you, as in He created your forefather in a metaphorical way from the earth, and then He fashioned him, like other ayats talk about this. Or it could be an khalaqu min turab, meaning our essence, our bodies, the composite of our cells is carbon based, is earth based. The same sort of like ingredients that you'll find inside of us, you'll find them in the earth as well, right? So it's not like our bodies are not compatible with earth. It's not like our bodies are compatible with Jupiter, or our bodies are compatible with some other planet. No, our bodies are compatible with earth. It's as though we have been designed for earth. Yeah, so sometimes you buy, like for example, a mobile phone or something, and this has software, and that software is designed for this phone. It's not designed for another phone. So the same concept you can understand here as well, is that Allah has created us, and we have been designed and created like this. So, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَكُم مِّن تُرَابٍ. Now think about this. Why are we being told that we're created from earth? Whether we know this or we don't know this is not really going to make a difference. As in, whether we were told, what do you guys think? Whether we were told we were made from earth or not isn't really going to make a major difference in our lives. Yeah, because most of us have this concept that we're made from, seminal fluid that comes out the body. Yeah, we understand this. So if you were to kind of like go back and trace it back to what Adam alayhi salam was created from, or even what the ingredients, the composition of the material of our bodies is, right, it's not really going to make much of a difference to us, is it? But why does Allah over here, clearly this surah has to be relevant, Turab has to be relevant to this surah. Yeah, and this is why, when people try to challenge the Quran, one of the things they fail to understand is why are all these words like unique to this surah for? They fail to kind of grasp this. So we have to try and understand. So when Allah says أَنْ خَلَقَكُم مِّن تُرَابٍ, from the turab, the earth, the ground, the soil of the earth, from his signs is that he created you from this turab. ثُمَّ إِذَا أَنْتُمْ بَشَرٌ تَنْتَشِرُونَ. And then when you, all of a sudden, ثُمَّ إِذَا أَنْتُمْ بَشَرٌ. So then all of a sudden when you are bashar, when you are human, you begin to spread. So this could be in reference to human migration. So human migration across the earth, right? It's spread obviously. So we clearly see that there is this element of activity here. Tantashirun, spreading. Yeah, and bashar, they say that humans are called bashar either because they're the only creature where you can see more skin than hair. So normally you can see more skin than hair, where most other animals you see more hair. Or because bashar literally means that they will be, they will be like the bashar is called skin as well, because they will be like the skin of the earth. As in, if you look anywhere around the earth, you'll find them. Yeah, so these are like Mufassirin have mentioned these two sort of meanings. Here it's turab, not teen. Yeah, so here it's turab, not teen, and that's interesting as well. Why not mention teen over here? Why turab? Like what's significant about turab? So if you ever had clay and and soil in your hand, what's the difference between the two? Like why is soil important here? ثم إذا أنتم بشر تنتشرون, then you spread. So there's this kind of like sign here, a sign of God. Now think about this. You can put it in the comments as well. What is the sign of God? That you're created from earth, here, grainy earth, and then all of a sudden, it's like as human beings, as a society, you're able to travel anywhere on earth. Like what's the sign there, right? So think of it this way. Think of it. What would all the byproducts of this be then? So if you had this creature who would be created from this kind of substance and then would be able to spread all across the earth, what byproducts are you naturally going to get of this creature? Like if I said to you a dog, if I gave you the characteristics of a dog, and I say a dog is something which will be very loyal, and generally in your mind you'll understand, okay, a dog is going to become something that's going to be able to help other creatures. It's going to have this amazing ability to be able to find things. It's going to be have this amazing ability to become trained as well. Yeah, so you slowly start to get these. And then if you think of a horse, you say, okay, horses, if I tell you it's a creature that can travel very fast and it can hold people at the back, then you say, okay, this animal seems to be an animal that can become tamed. It's an animal that can transport people. It can transport things as well. Yeah, so this is the kind of like byproducts you get. So this is how you have to think, right, when you come across these verses. So you think about it. So humans have been created from turab. Then Allah says, when you become bashar, yeah, when you became bashar, in other words, this could be when you became mature or when you became like such a large number, a community, you began to spread across the earth. Then tashirun, right? You began to spread, mix with each other. So what would this kind of like result in? As in, how would this fit in with the concept of Rum, the Roman society? Okay, is Allah mentioning the Roman Empire, Ar-Rum, and why? And I don't get the link between the Roman Empire and the Quran. Yeah, so what you'd have to do is watch the previous videos. So if you watch the previous videos, we discussed this previously. It's talking about the Byzantine Rome, and there was a big war that took place in the in the early parts of Islam. Okay, so okay, going back to this then. So this is the thing that comes to my mind then, that the idea of the earth being mentioned here is indication towards the the origins of man. The man is, at the end of the day, is like the earth. The earth can be taken together, and you can you can make all sorts of things from it. You can make bricks from it. You can put bricks on top of one another, and you can build a massive structure, and you can make it look amazing. But at the end of the day, earth is earth. It's just made up of small bits that will come tumbling down again. Maybe this is indication towards this. And then ثم إذا أنتم بشر تنتشرون. So basharun, bashar, indicating towards like some physical features of ours. And then this idea of these physical features maybe make it advantageous for humans to be able to spread across the earth. So it was like deliberately designed in human beings that they were going to have the perfect skills to be able to travel all across the earth, right? And what do you need to travel all across the earth, right? You obviously need intelligence. So they're going to have this intelligence to be able to cross rivers, to be able to cross mountains, to cross various seasons. They're going to have the ability to be able to settle anywhere on the earth, right? They're going to acclimatize to any environment, right? And then you can kind of go on from there as well. Turab equals tantashirun. Okay, so tantash turab meaning granular. Is that what you're talking about? That is granular, and you can spread it. You can throw it and spread it. Yeah, so turab is found everywhere around the earth, isn't it? So just like turab is found everywhere around the earth, you find it everywhere. Likewise, humans are going to be found wherever there's turab. You are going to find humans. Maybe that's an indication as well. And so this idea of Rome as well, that Rome is a concept of a powerful civilization, and this powerful civilization was built by human beings, and human beings, again, at the end of the day, will rise and they'll fall. Yeah, because turab at the end of the day, it just returns back to turab again. Being from the earth is a reminder to me that we will return to earth, and don't be lofty and proud. Yeah, possibly that's. Now, how would this fit in with the concept of Allah's signs? Again, what I'm saying is that this is an indication towards the intricate design that's gone into making human beings. Like this perfect design, how human beings are able to do all this can't be random. Like it just cannot be random that humans can, control the entire earth, can build societies everywhere, and then from these societies they start to become, organized, and then they become, technologically they become advanced. They compete with one another. They have societies and politics, and all these things are from human beings, and all this is a sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does everyone understand that? Okay. Anybody got anything on this verse before we move on? Okay, so next one then. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. So وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, and from his signs, from the signs of Allah again. Yeah. So one of the signs of Allah that you can go and investigate further now is to do investigations and watch documentaries and read articles about how human civilization has been able to spread across the earth. Second, and not just around the earth, tantashirun. See, interestingly, it doesn't say tantashiruna fil ard. Yeah, tantashirun can mean even outside the earth as well. So because the maf'ul bihi is not mentioned here, so there could be indication that humans have the potential ability to be able to even go outside of the earth. It just means spread, and that's what humans seem to do. They kind of spread out. And this also might be indication towards, if something spreads out, the more something spreads out, the weaker it becomes. As in, the closer it is together, the stronger it is. When Earth's together, it's strong, and when it's spread, it becomes weaker. Maybe that's an indication, kind of reflection that come to mind. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ, and from his signs, and خَلَقَ لَكُمْ, that he created for all of you. Yeah, he created for all of you, min anfusikum, from yourselves, azwajan, partners. Yeah, azwaj means compatible partners. Yeah, so the word zawj in Arabic means something which fits with something else. So if you understand the Lego pieces, so the Lego pieces, they fit, yeah, inside of each other. Which chapter is this? So this is a Surah Rum. So if you look for Surah Rum, I can't remember which chapter number it is. Surah Rum is in the 21st portion of the Quran. So it's like Lego pieces. In other words, Allah has made each of you lakum min anfusikum azwajan. Yeah, for each one of you, Allah has made like suitable, like what's the word? Compatible partners. What's the whole point of this? Like there must be a reason why Allah has done this. Allah has made compatible, like for example, a tree is not compatible with a human. Or for example, like a dog is not compatible with a human. Like compatibility has to be in something, yeah, like this. لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, in order for you to be able to have sukoon, yeah, to have sukoon. In other words, to be at peace. سَكَنَ يَسْكُنُ, and لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, so that you can be in sukoon with it, the nafs. Yeah, azwaj and azwaj, ilal azwaj. So the, like you look at it from male and female, the men with the men and the female with the female, right? So men with the men, female with the female. That's one way of looking at it. And also خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاج. Azwaj can also mean like groups, variety. So one is physically, for example, males are compatible with females, right? But maybe not every male and a female would want to be together. So therefore you have this idea of like-mindedness as well. Varieties. Azwaj means varieties. So there's varieties. لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, so that you can be at peace. So a human cannot find the full like mental and physical peace with, let's say, a dog, or cannot find the full physical and mental peace with a horse, or with a tree, or with something else. In order for a human to find full physical and full mental sukoon, yeah, sukoon means to be calm, yeah, to be at peace and stop, the opposite of haraka. So sukoon is the opposite of movement. You find full, like you come to a stillness, right? So you reach somewhere where you reach a stillness. Ilayha. Taskunu ilayha. Now I don't want to go like too much into balagha points here, why ilayha is mentioned with taskun. That's something you guys can look up in tafsirs. Yeah, taskunu ilayha, because ila means to move towards something, as though the sukoon is not going to come straight away. Sukoon is going to come after you found the compatible partner, and then after a while you reach. It's as though it's going to take you time for the bodies and the minds to become synced, you can say, like synchronized. Yeah. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً, and He Allah has made between you. So He خَلَقَ لَكُمْ, He created, but here He's جَعَلَ. The word جَعَلَ is mentioned over here. So جَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ, between all of you humans, He's made this concept of مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. So mawadda is like mutual sort of like love, where you want to do something for the other person. Yeah, mutually you want to do it. So this is from the word would. So جَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً. So you have this kind of thing where, you don't really want to do anything for a tree. Yeah, there's no mawadda between a human and a tree, right? But there is this mawadda between a human and another human. Yeah, you have this mawadda wa rahmatan, and this mercy. And mercy, like mawaddatan, comes because, like, why does a person have this love for another person? It could be because, for example, like they see something inside of that person, some abilities, some sort of like characteristics, some like perfection that they don't have inside themselves, but they see in someone else, and that kind of like, it's a kind of like a reciprocal love. Wa rahmatan, and mercy. And when do you have mercy? When you have mercy, when you give up your right for someone else. That's called mercy days. And rahmah means like softness in the heart. So for example, like you see someone, you feel sorry for them. They may have done something, but you overlook them. Yeah, these are all like forms of rahmah. So mawaddat, ja'ala baykum mawaddatan wa rahmatan. Yeah. So mawaddatan wa rahmatan, you can say even that this is like a form, a type. Naw'un min mawaddatin, naw'un min rahmah. Not full mawadda, not full rahmah, but it's a type of mawadda, special type of mawadda that's only found when two compatible, synchronized like people come together, you're only going to find it then. Mawaddatan is nakira, so I don't want to go into balagha here because I think it's going to put a lot of people off. But mawaddatan wa rahmatan, yeah, all of these are indications. It can't just happen just like that. Like you cannot have this two people coming together and having this amazing ability to be able to be compatible, and then you have this like bridging taking place, mental bridging and spiritual bridging between the two. And that's what you need to create a society. Going back to the concept of the civilization of Rome, the civilization of Rome, it wasn't just built just like, it wasn't like just someone there like an architect or engineer and just built Rome. Rome was built by families, human beings, men and women. They came together, they had families, and then they produced offspring, and then they had societies, and they had their arguments, and they had their divorces, and they had their marriages, and all these things were happening. So all of this is indication of this is how Rome is going to come into power. It's going to come with this, and all of this indication towards Allah. Inna fi dhalika la ayat. Indeed, in that are many signs. Not just one sign. Yeah. Many signs. لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. So min ayatihi, from his signs, is that he's created. He's done this. But if you kind of think about it, this is like a layered sort of thing now. A layered means of contemplation in the signs of Allah. So if you were to like sit down in a room and just think about all of the things that human society has, from the highest or the lowest working ground up, you can see all of the different layers. لَآيَةٍ لِقَوْمٍ, but it's only for those people يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Those people who don't think are not going to see this. Like for example, if you kind of just think of this and say, look how powerful Rome is and look how powerful they became. You think about an average Arab in them days when this Quran was revealed. What was their like perception of Rome? Their perception would have been the same perception that we have of China, or the same perception that we have of the military power of America, or any other country like that. Like how can we become like them? It's not possible. They think them to be like aliens that have come from another planet. They're not. They are human beings. They have families. They go home in the evening. They sit with their kids, even though they might have murdered and slaughtered so many families in the day. But in the end of the day, they go back to their kids. They still have this mawaddatan wa rahmatan. They're not totally like heartless and soulless. They have this, yeah. And all of this is from the signs of Allah, but they're using it wrong. And as Muslims, we need to be able to use it within the parameters that Allah said. Inna fi dhal ayat liqawmin yatafakkarun. And tafakkur, fikr, is utilizing your cognitive abilities to be able to ponder, reflect. Yeah, tafakkara. Okay, we'll stop there inshallah. So like I said, if we just go through the translation of this surah, all of these things are just going to whiz over your head. You're not going to be thinking about these. And we've only just touched on the surface of this surah. Yeah, if you were to really kind of dig deep into this surah, go really into the words and how Allah has used the words and the concepts behind this, and look at it from a historic point of view, and look at it from a social point of view, and a modern sort of like understanding of how societies are functioning today, what's happening around the world. Like if you just sat here today and thought to yourself, in Russia, what are the people doing now? What are the people, where are they? Are they asleep? Are they sitting down? Are they with their families? Are they joking? There's going to be some people who are going to be laughing at a table. Some people having an argument. Some people maybe, abusing someone. Someone maybe having mercy on someone. Someone doing charity work. Someone, cooking food. Someone watching TV. Someone talking on the phone. Someone texting. So many things going on. Right? All of these things make up Russia. And the same thing with the UK. There are so many things going on at the moment now. But we don't think about that as humans. We're very narrow-minded when it comes to understanding things in life. We look at it from one lens, but there's so many things going on in the UK. So many families doing things and thoughts and messages and people on the phone and people like us over here. Yeah. So all of these things should make us realize that these are all from the signs of Allah. Like who gave humans the ability to do all of this? Yeah. And then reach the power, that they reached. But anyway, if it wasn't for the mawadda and rahmah that Allah had placed inside of human beings for each other, then Rome would have never ever come into power like it did. It's not possible. Yeah, because one of the main components of a powerful society is the men and women that make that society up. And they're not robots, right? They have to obviously have compatibility with each other. They have to Okay. Salam, brother Kardash. You look like Turgut from Ertugrul Bay. MashaAllah, MashaAllah, Allahu Akbar. I haven't watched any of it, but I've seen images when he does this. Yeah. Okay, Khan, love for their strengths and mercy for their weakness. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Anyway, any other questions, guys, on this? No. Okay, so hopefully, if we don't have another lesson on Wednesday, we're gonna have it on Thursday then. Yeah, so Thursday, so maybe on Wednesday, otherwise on Thursday, inshallah, will be our next lesson, inshallah ta'ala. So jazakumullah khair, guys, for watching this, and if you have anything to mention about this surah, and look it up as well for the following verses. You have verse 22, 23, 24. Try to look up in some tafsirs, try to look at the translation, try to think for yourself, get a piece of paper maybe and a pen, and write down what comes to your mind when you think of these, like when you hear this, what are the thoughts that come to your mind. Just write them down. Even those thoughts might be something useful to other people as well. We don't even realize, as this lesson was going on, there were so many thoughts coming into many of your minds. But those thoughts, how many of you think that these thoughts are going to be valuable to someone else? Okay, so jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much, guys, and I will see you inshallah next session. Okay, assalamu alaikum. Can you make a series on what breaks wudu? So if you watch my Kuduri, I explain it in there. So if you go to my Kuduri series, I've got it in there. Yeah, you can go into the episode where I talk about things that break wudu, 7 things. Yeah, I didn't make a Liaquat 2.0 today. Was unable to. I did a lot of things at home as well, and my father is a bit ill as well. I make dua for him. He's coughing, and he's got some fever. He's had it for quite a few days now. So make dua, inshallah, Allah gives him shifa. So I was unable to make the Liaquat 2.0 today. So maybe inshallah I'll try to make one tomorrow, inshallah. Right, jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much, guys. Take care, inshallah. And don't forget likes. Don't forget to hit the likes. If you haven't hit the like button, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.